When Major Crimes Detective Reynolds took over the case, he wasn't searching for Mark Sullivan. He was searching for proof that Mark had run away. But what he found inside the car wasn't an escape. It was a message. Mark Sullivan had everything: a successful career, a family, a normal life. When he vanished from his locked home, police didn't panic. They assumed stress, midlife crisis, case closed. But for his family, the nightmare was just beginning. If Mark was running away, why leave his car 100 miles from home? And why hide a clue meant to be found? Tonight, we retrace Mark Sullivan's final steps. This is the story of a single hotel keycard and the secret he was willing to disappear for. The suburb looked perfect. Too perfect. Maple lined streets, identical mailboxes, security lights that turned on at the same time every night. This is where Elena Brooks, 38, lived, a senior project coordinator, divorced, no kids, no enemies, at least on paper. She lived alone in a 2-story home outside Boulder, Colorado. Glass doors, neutral furniture, a life built to look stable. Neighbors described her the same way: polite, private, always on time. Elena didn't throw parties. She didn't argue loudly. She didn't ask for help, which is why her disappearance felt wrong from the start. It began on a Tuesday. Elena missed a morning presentation, then a follow-up call, then an evening check-in with her sister. Her phone went straight to voicemail. By midnight, concern turned into fear. Police arrived at her house just after dawn. The front door was locked, windows secure. No broken glass. No signs of a struggle. Her laptop sat open on the dining table. Cold coffee beside it. No unfinished note. Her purse was missing. So were her car keys. But everything else was untouched. The responding officer wrote it down carefully. Adult female. Financially stable. No forced entry. The first theory came quickly. She left on her own.
A voluntary absence.
A reset. A burnout escape. The words landed hard on her sister, Maya. She wouldn't just vanish, Maya said, voice tight. She calls me if she's late. Always. The officer nodded, but his eyes didn't change. She's an adult, he replied. Sometimes people need space. Space. That word followed the case everywhere. Elena had taken vacation days before. She'd traveled alone. She valued independence. So the department slowed down. No alerts. No press conference. No urgency. The house stayed quiet. But something didn't sit right. Elena's coworkers mentioned a shift in the weeks before she vanished. Longer hours. Shorter replies. Closed-door calls. One colleague remembered a sentence Elena had whispered after a meeting. If this goes public, she'd said, people will get hurt. At the time, no one asked what she meant. Her email log showed late-night drafts. Never sent. Subject lines erased. And then there was the car. Her dark gray sedan. Reliable. Ordinary. It hadn't been spotted on any local cameras. No toll records. No parking tickets. As if it had slipped out of the city without leaving a shadow. Maya pushed back. She requested phone records. Asked about traffic cameras. Filed a missing person escalation. The response stayed the same. No evidence of danger. But danger doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides behind routines. Sometimes it waits inside silence. 3 days passed. Then 5. Then 7. And just as the case began to cool, a call came in from outside the county. An airport employee. A routine patrol. A parked vehicle that had been sitting too long. License plate matched. Elena Brooks' car had been found. Locked. Clean. Waiting. 100 miles away. And whatever Elena had tried to leave behind, she had left it there. Hidden. If Elena left willingly, why abandon her car so far from home? And what did she hide inside it that would force the police to reopen everything? The airport parking lot was almost empty. Wind moving dust. Lights humming overhead. Elena Brooks' sedan sat in the far corner. Level 4. Long-term parking. No ticket on the windshield. No damage.
No había panique.
It looked placed, not abandoned. The officer on scene tried the door. Locked. A tow supervisor logged the vehicle. Standard procedure. Photos. VIN check. At first glance, nothing stood out. Then a senior investigator arrived. Detective Aaron Cole, Major Crimes. He didn't rush. He walked around the car slowly. Once. Twice. People who run, he said quietly, don't clean up after themselves. The interior was neat. Too neat.
No trash. No receipts. No spare clothes.
The glove compartment held insurance papers. Perfectly stacked. The trunk was empty. Not even a grocery bag. Cole leaned closer. He noticed something small. The passenger side air vent didn't align properly. Off by millimeters. Barely visible. Pop that, he said. A forensic tech put on gloves. Careful hands. No force. The vent came loose with a soft click. Inside, tucked deep where airflow should have been, was a single object. A hotel key card. Plain. White.
No logo.
The tech froze. Cole didn't smile. Didn't react. He just stared. Bag it, he said. That was the moment the case changed. A key card isn't luggage. It's not a souvenir. It's not something you forget. It's something you carry until the end. Back at the station, the card went under light. Then magnification.
No fingerprints.
Wiped clean. But the magnetic strip was intact. Usable. This wasn't random, Cole said. She wanted it found. The card didn't match any hotel in Colorado. Not Denver. Not Boulder. Not even nearby states. Records showed Elena hadn't booked a room anywhere recently. No travel apps.
No confirmations.
Which raised a new question. Why drive 100 miles parked near an airport? And hide a clue inside your own car? The original theory cracked. Voluntary disappearance didn't fit anymore. If Elena wanted to vanish, she wouldn't leave breadcrumbs. And she wouldn't leave them so deliberately. Cole reviewed Elena's last movements. Security footage showed her entering the parking structure alone. No one followed.
No straggle.
She parked cleanly. Centered. Locked the doors. Before leaving, she leaned back into the car. Just once. Long enough to hide something. That detail mattered. The key card wasn't meant for police. Not originally. It was meant for someone else. Someone who knew where to look. Someone who never came. Digital forensics dug deeper. Her phone hadn't been powered off. It had been disabled. Remotely. Her laptop activity showed encrypted folders accessed hours before she left home. Files opened. Closed. Renamed. One file name stood out. Archive_final. It was empty now. Deleted. But deletion leaves traces. And traces leave patterns. Cole leaned back in his chair that night. Lights low. Office quiet. Elena didn't disappear, he said softly. She redirected the truth. The card was a pointer, not a destination. A silent signal saying, "Don't look at me. Look where I was last meant to be." And whoever she trusted enough to receive that signal had either failed her or been stopped. Outside, rain tapped against the window. Somewhere far from the airport, a door had been opened once, then closed forever. And Elena Brooks knew that would happen. If the hotel key card wasn't meant for police, who was it meant for? And what secret did Elena believe was safer hidden than spoken out loud? The motel was real. That alone surprised everyone. The hotel key card traced back to a place far from Colorado. A roadside motel in eastern Nevada. 2 floors. Faded sign. Vacancy lights that buzzed even during the day. Not a tourist stop. Not a place you post online. Detective Cole stared at the map. Elena didn't choose this by accident, he said. She chose it because no one looks here. The motel owner was cooperative. Too cooperative. People come here to disappear, he said, shrugging. Oil workers. Drifters. Folks avoiding someone. Guest records showed something odd. Room 214 had been paid for in cash. 3 nights. Checked in under a false name. But the timing mattered. The check-in date matched the night Elena vanished. Security footage still existed. Old system. Grainy. But usable. They watched it together. Elena appeared just after midnight. Baseball cap, hair tied back. Calm, not scared. She wasn't alone. A man walked beside her. Older, late 50s.
No uniform. No aggression.
They didn't touch. They didn't argue. They looked like two people who already knew how this would end. Cole paused the footage. "That's not a threat," he said. "That's a witness." Room 214 was searched. No damage. No blood. No chaos. Just absence. In the trash bin, investigators found shredded paper. Carefully torn. Too careful. Digital reconstruction pulled fragments together. Numbers. Dates. Client codes. They didn't belong to Elena's personal life. They belonged to her job. Back in Colorado, financial auditors reopened Elena's company files. What they found made the room go quiet. Elena had discovered something months earlier. Not a single crime. A system. Overbilling. False safety certifications. Projects approved without inspections. People trusted the company. Hospitals. Schools. Public buildings. If exposed, careers would end. Lawsuits would follow. Lives could be lost. Elena had tried internal channels first. Emails ignored. Meetings postponed. Then came the warnings. Subtle ones. Let this go. You're misreading the data. Think about your future. She didn't stop. Instead, she copied everything. Encrypted it. Split it. One copy stayed hidden digitally. Another moved physically. Room 214. The man in the footage was identified days later. A private compliance investigator. Someone Elena hired quietly. He had one job. Verify the evidence. Prepare a safe disclosure. But he never checked out. His car was found abandoned 2 states away. Alive, but silent. He refused interviews. Refused subpoenas. Through his lawyer, he sent one message. She knew this would happen. The final piece came from Elena's laptop backup. A recovered audio note. Recorded the night she left home. Her voice was steady. "If you're hearing this," she said, "then I didn't make it back." Pause. "I didn't run. I stood in the wrong place at the right time." Another pause. Truth doesn't disappear. It just waits for someone brave enough to open it.
No goodbye. No plea.
Just certainty. The files she protected were eventually released. Quietly. Legally. The company collapsed within months. Charges followed. But Elena Brooks was never found. Not alive. Not gone. Just absent. And in that absence was the answer. She didn't vanish to save herself. She vanished to stop something worse. If Elena planned for silence, why did she leave one final trail behind? And who was she truly protecting by disappearing forever? Once the files went public, the noise began. Audits. Hearings. Quiet resignations that didn't make headlines. Elena Brooks' name appeared everywhere. But her face did not. People praised her courage. Called her brave. Called her reckless. Detective Cole didn't join the praise. He kept asking the same question. If she planned this, he said, why leave anything unfinished? Because something was unfinished. The motel room told one story. The files told another. But Elena's timeline still had gaps. Her phone record showed one last call. Unlisted. 7 seconds long. Not enough time to speak. Just enough to connect. The call pinged near the airport. Not Nevada. Not the motel. Back to the car. Cole returned to the sedan. Same gloves. Same flashlight. This time he didn't look for evidence. He looked for intention. He noticed where marks near the driver's seat. Small scratches. Repeated contact. Under the seat rail, taped flat against metal, was something else. Thin. Folded. Carefully hidden. A paper receipt. Gas station. Rural Utah. Timestamp 2 hours after Elena checked into the motel. That's impossible, a text said. Cole didn't respond. He stared, because it meant one thing. Elena had left the motel. She wasn't intercepted there. She wasn't taken by surprise. She chose to go. Security footage was rechecked. Slowed down, frame by frame. At 3:17 a.m., Elena exited room 214 alone.
No back. No rus.
She looked straight at the camera. Just once. Not fear. Recognition. As if she knew someone would eventually watch. The man she met, the investigator, stayed behind. He waited. Hours. Then he left through the back stairs. Elena never returned. Cole finally understood. The motel wasn't a hiding place. It was a handoff. Elena had already separated the truth from herself. She made herself expendable. The real protection wasn't for her family or her career. It was for people who didn't even know her name, buildings that wouldn't collapse, hospitals that wouldn't fail inspections, children who would never know what almost happened. The silence made sense now. Elena couldn't disappear loudly. That would trigger pursuit, force confrontation. She needed quiet. She needed uncertainty. And she needed one thing more. Time. A final message arrived months later. Handwritten. No return address. It reached Detective Cole's desk without explanation. Inside, a single sentence. You don't have to find me to finish this. Nothing else.
No signature.
Cole folded the note carefully. He never reopened the case. Because some endings aren't meant to be solved. They're meant to be understood. And sometimes the most powerful act of resistance is choosing to vanish, so the truth can stand alone. If Elena disappeared by choice, what unexpected truth made her believe her absence would speak louder than her survival? Time passed. Cases moved on. Names blurred. But Elena Brooks didn't fade. Her story settled into the department like unfinished music. Always there. Never resolved. Detective Cole kept her file on his shelf. Not in a drawer. In sight. Because something about it still felt incomplete. The truth had come out. The corruption had collapsed. Lives were safer. So why did the unease remain? It started with a detail no one had questioned. Elena's sister, Maya. Maya had testified, given interviews, cried on camera. But grief has patterns. And Cole had seen enough of them to notice when one didn't fit. Maya never asked the same question twice. Never pushed for searches after the files went public. It was as if, at some point, she had accepted something. Cole requested permission for one final review. Not an investigation. A conversation. Maya agreed. They met in a quiet cafe. Late afternoon. Soft light. Cole didn't open with accusations. He opened with silence. Finally, Maya spoke. She told me, she said. Not everything. Just enough. Cole looked up. When? He asked. The night before she disappeared. Maya wrapped her hands around her cup. Elena said, if I stay, someone innocent pays for it. If I go, only I do. Cole didn't interrupt. She said the system wouldn't stop unless it believed she was gone, Maya continued. Dead or close enough. Maya's voice shook. She didn't want to be a martyr. She wanted to be invisible. That was the moral line. Elena hadn't just exposed the truth. She had manipulated belief. She had allowed the world to think the worst. To protect the outcome. She made me promise something, Maya said quietly. That I wouldn't look for her. Ever. Cole exhaled slowly. Because now it made sense. Why there were breadcrumbs but no path. Why there was evidence but no body. Elena wasn't hiding from danger. She was hiding from recognition. If she was found alive, the narrative would shift. People would question motives. Blame her. Discredit the evidence. A missing woman is tragic. A living whistleblower is controversial.
Elena chose tragédie.
Not because she wanted to vanish, but because she wanted the truth to survive without her. Cole asked one final question. Do you believe she's alive? Maya paused. I believe she's at peace, she said. And that's enough. That night, Cole walked past his office shelf. He took Elena's file down. Removed one photo. A still from the motel camera. Elena looking directly into the lens. He placed it in an envelope. Then he closed the case. Not as solved. Not as cold. But as complete. Because the unexpected truth wasn't where Elena went. It was why she never wanted to be followed. She didn't disappear because she was afraid. She disappeared because she was certain. And certainty, when it threatens power, is the most dangerous thing of all. If Elena sacrificed her own identity to protect the truth, what silent realization will finally force the world to question whether justice always requires survival? Years later, the city had changed. New buildings, new contracts, new names on glass doors. But the rules were different now. Inspections were slower, paper trails longer, whispers louder. Elena Brooks had reshaped something without ever standing on a stage. Detective Cole retired quietly.
No ceremony.
No speech. On his last day, he cleared his desk. One file remained. Elena's. He hesitated, then took it home. Because some cases don't belong to institutions. They belong to people. Months passed. Then one evening a letter arrived. No stamp. No return address. Just his name. Inside, a single sheet of paper. Typed. Not printed. I hope you stopped looking. Cole sat down. The message continued. I didn't disappear to escape consequences. I disappeared so consequences would finally exist. Short lines. Measured. There are places where truth only works if it arrives alone. Cole felt a chill.
No signature. No proof.
But the phrasing was familiar. Too familiar. He read it again. Then noticed something else. The paper smelled faintly of oil. Machine oil. The kind used on construction sites. The realization came quietly. Elena wasn't hiding in fear. She was working. Somewhere anonymous. Somewhere practical. Not saving herself. Continuing the work. Cole never replied. Because that's what she wanted. Silence, not confirmation. He burned the letter that night. Watched it curl into ash. Not to erase it. To honor it. The next morning, news broke. A new investigation. Different state. Different firm. Same pattern. The system was learning. And somewhere unseen, someone was still pushing it. Cole poured coffee. Stared out the window. He felt it then. The final realization. Justice isn't always loud. It doesn't always end with handcuffs or applause. Sometimes it looks like absence. Sometimes it sounds like nothing at all. And sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is step out of the story so the truth can finish telling itself. If Elena is still out there, silently shaping justice from the shadows, what happens when the world finally stops needing her to disappear? The problem with silence is this. It works until it doesn't. Years after Elena Brooks vanished, her name surfaced again. Not in a headline. In a footnote, a graduate researcher flagged an anomaly. Old inspection reforms. Similar language. Same structural recommendations. Different states. Different decades. Same fingerprints. Not literal ones. Patterns. The researcher sent emails. Asked questions. Posted a thread online. Nothing accusatory. Just curious. And curiosity is dangerous. The threat gained attention. Then momentum. People started connecting dots. Bloggers. Independent journalists. A familiar question returned. What really happened to Elena Brooks? Detective Cole saw it trending late one night. His stomach tightened. Because Elena had survived by being forgotten, not by being hidden. He made one call. Then another. Old contacts. Quiet warnings. Let it rest. Don't reopen this. She gave you what you needed. Most listened. One didn't. Podcaster. True crime focused. Persistent. She requested records. Filed FOIA requests. Tracked down Maya. The interview never happened. Maya declined politely. She did what she had to do, Maya said. That's all. The podcaster pushed harder. Then something changed. Her upload slowed. Her post stopped.
No announcement.
No explanation. Just silence. Cole recognized the pattern. Not intimidation. Redirection. Elena's method. Shift attention. Drain energy. Let truth stand without a face. That night, Cole received another message. Different from the last. Shorter. You warned them. Thank you. That was all.
No emotion. No nostalgia.
Just acknowledgement. Cole smiled for the first time in years. Because now he knew. Elena was watching the world the same way she always had. Carefully, selectively, not to be known, to be effective. The moral line she crossed never moved. She stayed on the same side of it. She didn't manipulate people. She manipulated outcomes. And the unexpected truth became clear. Elena Brooks didn't vanish to end her story. She vanished to make sure no one else had to. Somewhere the internet moved on. Another mystery replaced hers. And in that forgetting, the system stayed honest. For now, if Elena can still steer the truth without being seen, what silent cost will one final mistake force her to face? Every system adapts. So do the people inside it. Years of reform had created resistance. Not open, not loud, quiet resistance. Consultants learned new language. Compliance became theater. Documents clean. Intent unchanged. Elena saw it coming. From wherever she was, she followed patterns. Public filings. Contract timing. The pauses between approvals. She noticed a familiar curve. The same one she had seen years ago. History wasn't repeating. It was mutating. She couldn't intervene directly. Not without breaking the rules she lived by. No face. No credit. No return. But silence alone wouldn't stop this version. So she did something small. Something dangerous. She sent one file. Not to police. Not to media. To a mid-level auditor in a state agency. Someone ordinary. Someone careful. The file was incomplete by design. Just enough to raise a question. Not enough to prove intent. The auditor hesitated. Then forwarded it upward. That's where the mistake happened. Too many eyes. Too fast. Someone recognized the structure. The phrasing. The way risk was framed. They didn't know her name. But they knew the ghost. A private firm began tracing the leak. Metadata. Routing paths. Timestamps. Elena felt it before it reached her. The silence shifted. She stopped sending signals. Stopped monitoring in real time. For the first time in years, she did nothing. And that was the hardest part. Because walking away had been easier than staying still. Meanwhile, the investigation stalled. The incomplete file went nowhere. The auditor was reassigned. The questions faded. The system held. That night, Elena wrote something she never intended to send. A single line. Invisibility has a shelf life. She deleted it. Because the truth arrived next. She had protected outcomes for years. But she had also removed herself from consequence. And consequence, she realized, is part of justice too. If no one ever answers for disruption, the system learns patience. Elena understood the moral twist then. Her disappearance had worked because it was temporary. Not in time. In meaning. It was never meant to last forever. She had mistaken endurance for impact. Some truths need a witness. Some endings need a voice. The silent realization settled in. Staying invisible was no longer neutral. It was becoming permission. And for the first time since she vanished, Elena considered being seen. Not fully, not publicly, but enough. Enough to remind the world that ghosts are created by choice, and they can choose to return. If Elena steps out of the shadows even once, will the truth survive her return? Or finally collapse under the weight of knowing who she really is? Elena chose a place that didn't matter. No cameras she could identify. No history. No emotional weight. A public records office in a mid-sized city. Fluorescent lights. Old carpet. People waiting quietly for copies of their own lives. She didn't give a name. She handed over a sealed envelope. For the oversight committee, she said. Her voice steady. Older now. The clerk barely looked at her. That'll be processed in 7 to 10 business days. Elena nodded. She had expected that. Inside the envelope was everything she had never released. Not raw data. Context. Intent. Patterns. Explanations only she could provide. Enough to restart reform. Enough to finish it properly. But also enough to expose her. As she walked away, she felt it. The pull. Not fear. Recognition. A man stood near the exit. Mid-40s. Plain jacket. He wasn't watching her. He was waiting. Elena Brooks, he said softly. She stopped, didn't turn. That name doesn't exist, she replied. He smiled. I know, he said. That's why I used it. He worked for an internal review board. Not law enforcement. Not private. He held no badge. We're not here to arrest you, he said. We're here to ask you something. Elena finally faced him. What happens, he asked, when the system depends on someone who refuses to exist? The question landed hard, because it was the truth she had avoided. She had become a mechanism, not a person, and mechanisms don't get to choose endings. She answered honestly. The system shouldn't depend on anyone, she said. That's the problem. He considered this, then stepped aside. We'll review the material, he said. No record of this meeting. She walked out into daylight.
No chase. No confrontación.
Just a decision left hanging. That night, Elena burned her remaining backups. Every copy she still controlled. She had given away the last of the truth. Now it had to stand without her. The unexpected truth settled quietly. She didn't need to return to be seen. She needed to stop being essential. Because justice that requires a single ghost isn't justice at all. It's dependency. And dependency always breaks. Elena packed one bag. Not to run. To arrive. Somewhere ordinary.
Somewhere permanent.
For the first time in years, she didn't plan an exit. If Elena has finally let go of control, what ending awaits a woman who sacrificed everything to make sure the truth no longer needs her? Elena chose a town that didn't ask questions. One grocery store. One main road. Mountains in the distance. She rented a small house. Paid cash. Used a name that felt neutral. Not false. Just unimportant. She found work quickly. Facilities planning. Background checks. Quiet responsibility. No power. No spotlight. For the first time, she slept without planning escape routes. Weeks passed. Then months. The Oversight Committee released its report. It was thorough. Unemotional. Impossible to ignore. New regulations followed. Federal standards. Mandatory audits. The system changed not overnight, but for real. No one mentioned Elena Brooks. Not once. First that stung. Then it felt right. One evening, Elena sat on her porch. Cool air. Distant traffic. She realized something then. She wasn't hiding anymore. She was living. The moral twist came softly. She had believed sacrifice meant disappearance. That justice required loss. But the unexpected truth was simpler. Justice didn't need her pain. It needed her restraint. By stepping away. By refusing credit. By letting the truth stand alone. She had done enough. Elena never returned to her old life. But she didn't mourn it either. Some endings aren't about closure. They're about permission. Permission to stay. To breathe. To exist without being essential. In a world that rewards noise.
Elena Chosquier.
And in that quiet, the truth finally stayed. Sometimes the bravest ending isn't being found, or remembered, or forgiven. Life settled into routine. That was the strange part. Elena learned the rhythm of the town. Trash pickup on Thursdays. Farmers market on Sundays. Names that repeated until they stuck. No one looked at her twice. At work she reviewed plans. Checked margins. Asked boring questions. The kind that prevent disasters. She never pushed too hard. Never rushed conclusions. She had learned what pressure does to systems. And to people. One afternoon, an envelope waited in her mailbox. No return address. No warning. Her hand stayed still for a long moment. Then she opened it. Inside was a newspaper clipping. Folded once. A small article. State inspection failures down 43% in 5 years. No mention of why. No credit given. Just numbers. Elena sat down. Not from fear. From relief. Far away, Maya stood in a different quiet. She had moved to. Smaller place. Closer to nature. People still asked about her sister sometimes. She answered the same way every time. Elena did what she believed was right. Nothing more. One evening, Maya found an old voicemail on a backup drive. A message she had never listened to. Elena's voice. Calm. If you ever stop being angry, she said, promise me you'll stop looking. Maya cried then. Not because she was sad, because she finally understood. Meanwhile, Detective Cole read the final report from the Oversight Committee. At home, glasses low on his nose, he smiled. He didn't need proof or confirmation. He needed distance. He closed the folder and placed it on a shelf. Not with the others. By itself. Cole passed away the following winter. Peacefully. In his sleep.
No headlands. No mystery.
At his small memorial, a former colleague spoke quietly. He believed some cases end, she said. And some cases teach you when to stop. Elena never learned of his death. And that was fitting. Their connection had never been personal. It had been purposeful. The world continued. New scandals. New outrage. New heroes. Elena watched none of it closely. She had learned that constant vigilance can become obsession. And obsession erodes judgment. The final unexpected truth came one night. As she turned off the lights, she had spent years thinking she owed the world everything. Her safety. Her name. Her future. But she owed the world only one thing. Honesty. She had given that. Everything else had been choice. The morals settled in quietly. Sacrifice is not measured by how much you lose, but by knowing when loss stops being useful. Elena lay down, closed her eyes. For the first time in a long while, there was nothing left to protect. And that was freedom. If the truth has finally outlived the woman who uncovered it, what final meaning does her disappearance hold for a world that will never know her name?